Every guy on the apps is talking to her about the same boring reality. The winning move isn't to play into this trap, rather it's to invent your own absurd reality. Let me explain. Guys, life as an adult is boring. We have to pay our taxes, we have to take the dog for a walk, we have to commute to work, and so many of you guys are just offering women on the apps an extension of this boring reality. Give you an example. Over the weekend, I was at a coffee shop. A woman, two girls are together, one of them gets a new match on the apps, and the guy opens the chat with a text of, "Hey, how's your life going?" Now, I will say this is not a good text. However, it is better than the standard, "Hey, how's your day going?" At least life gives her a bit more to work with. But you would not believe how much these women were roasting this guy over a message you would think was totally benign and normal, right? And so, honestly, you would not believe what they were saying. It was like watching a scene straight out of Mean Girls. If you think I'm mean with what I'm saying on this channel, believe me, they are 10 times meaner. And so, guys, what you have to understand is that when it comes to texting them on the apps, you have to invent your own absurd reality. And this is going to totally change the dynamic, because when you invent your own absurd reality, number one, you're demonstrating the high value behavior you're already trying to do with your polite openers and your thoughtful responses. Because when you invent your own absurd reality, you're demonstrating that, number one, you're so confident in yourself that you don't really care what she thinks. And number two, only a guy who is not afraid to look like a total disaster, who's not afraid to completely clown himself, is actually the only type of guy that in real life is actually completely secure and confident in himself and in his masculinity. So that is one thing you really need to internalize. But the second thing is that you really want to offer them an escape on the apps. And when you start something in an absurd manner, and I'll give you an example of what that looks like in a second, but when you text them with something absurd, with something totally unhinged, you give them something to play into. You give them something to ask you questions about, something to poke fun of you about. You give her so much more of an opening to continue the conversation with you. That's what it comes down to, guys. Let me give you an example. The other day, or actually a couple months ago during the winter time, I was in Target at the wine aisle. I see this beautiful woman. I go over there. I say, "Excuse me, you just looked like a more down-to-earth, modest version of Nicole Kidman. I had to come over and say hello." And this was the truth. That was just my observation. I said it plainly, and I let the cards fall where they may. So over time, she was super into it. We actually spent like 15 minutes walking around. And then the entire time I keep up this absurd frame. I'm like, thank God there are security cameras this way. If you look to kidnap me, the FBI can track you down, blah, blah, blah. She was loving it. This is how you flirt, guys. This is what the Guy app is helping guys do. Link in the description. Helping you flirt with women on the apps. Not get into boring, logical LinkedIn DM mode with them. And so, but where this is going in terms of the text example, I'll give you another example that you can use on the apps in a second here. But where this is going is that, we exchanged interests as well. We're both into yoga. The next day, she texts me. She goes, "How was your C2 flow?" C2 is like an intermediate core power class. I said, now most of you guys would have said something like, "Hey, exclamation point. Yoga was great this morning. Nothing better than a hot yoga class on a Sunday morning in the winter, haha. What about you? How's your Sunday going?" Boring. Too logical. Doesn't give her anything fun to talk about. It's like she's talking to her dad or her uncle, right? Instead, and I know you guys would have sent that because I was that guy not very long ago, not before me and my co-founder. He literally built a prototype version of the Guy because I was constantly asking him for text advice. He got tired of me constantly blowing up his phone. He created a version 1 prototype, far less sophisticated than the Guy app currently is, and was like, "Here, use this, stop texting me." And with that, I sent something much better. Instead, what I sent was, in response to how my yoga class was, I said, "Terrible. The instructor adjusted me 3 times. Think she just wanted to touch the aloe set. I feel used." And then she reacted with a ha-ha to the message. She sent me the laughing emoji. She was like, OMG, how scandalous. And you see how from there, by inventing my own ridiculous, absurd reality, she was able to step into that story, and then it just set the stage for a much more fun conversation. Versus if I had been like, how's your Sunday? I mean, again, adult life is kind of boring. Probably wasn't gonna be that exciting. Probably just gonna tell me about her meal prep, right? So hopefully this guy is making sense to you. I wanna give you one more example on the app real quick. But here's what you have to understand. So many of you guys are afraid to send the absurd, crazy, unhinged text because you think that they're gonna think you're weird, right? But based on the story I was just telling you about the girls in the coffee shop, if you send something boring, something safe, they're gonna laugh at you anyway, because one of the girls was literally like, you fumbled, my man. That's our tagline on the guy. I was in shock. So hopefully that makes some sense. Now, let me give you an example. Say you've been chatting with her for a while. You've moved from the app to text message. She says, hey, what's up? Before you would have said something, before you download the guy and completely change your text game and change your dating life as a whole, before you would have said something like, not much, just got back from the gym. How was your weekend? Question mark. Did you end up going to that concert you mentioned? Now, if you were to run that text through the guy app right before, the guy would tell you that that's not going to work. You sound like every other guy in her phone. Not much, just got back from the gym is the most boring text a man can send. And then you hit her with 2 whole questions like you're concluding an interview. She sent you 4 words, you don't get to send 30. I agree, that would have been a terrible text. Instead, what you should send is, here are 3 options of what you should send. Number 1, who sent you? Number 2, you scared me. Number 3, what do you want? And then it says, I'd go with 2. She texted you, hey, what's up? And you responded like she kicked your door down. It makes her the aggressor for literally just saying hi, and she has to respond to that. Door wide open. So yeah, guys, you just got to create an absurd, ridiculous bit and stick to it. No LOL, no ha ha ha, just stick with it, guys. And what you have to understand is so many of you are afraid of sending the so many of you guys are afraid to send the high-risk text, the one you think is risky, the ridiculous, absurd opener about the yoga instructors wanting to feel the material of your aloe set. You're afraid to send these types of texts because you think you're gonna get labeled as weird or creepy or unserious. One of my friends, he doesn't want to try out the guy app because he's like, bro, this is gonna make a bad first impression. As if it's a job interview or something. Guys, what you have to understand is that the guy will always help you win because either, 1, she's going to play in to the absurd, ridiculous, funny story you create. She's either gonna think it's funny, play along with it, ask you questions, flirt with you, escalate, which is all great, obviously, or she's going to ghost you, ignore you, unmatch you. But what you don't understand is that the guy will always help you win because when she doesn't reciprocate, you just filtered her out. You just became the hot girl in that scenario. You filtered her out because that just shows she wouldn't have been fun to hang out with. She doesn't have a good sense of humor. And that is really how you connect with each other in person. That's how the vibe and the romantic chemistry is established. It's not by sharing hobbies. It's not by, comparing weekend routines. No, it's by this thing that's really hard to even kind of like encapsulate. It's just this energy transfer, if you will. And so that's what the guy is helping you do. It's helping you get out of your own way. And like, to go back to how this video started with the story about the girls in the coffee shop, roasting the guy about asking them how their life is going. Guys, what you have to understand is that to play it safe on the apps is the most risky thing you can do, like that guy did. He was playing it safe and it blew up in his face. You send an absurd text, you throw a grenade, and you will actually have way more success. If you don't believe me, that's fine. I didn't believe any of this myself. I had to fall ass backwards into this entire way of thinking. You have to be completely deprogrammed into how you are thinking about the text communication on the dating apps. And this is important because, guys, it's not your fault you don't know how to text, because how would you have ever learned? Was your dad going to teach you? I mean, like, he grew up and was dating in like the 80s. There wasn't even cell phones at the time. It's not your fault you don't know how to master the text communication. Honestly, we discovered this by accident. It was completely accidental. And then we didn't even want to start the business for a long time. We were like, it's too powerful, number one, it's too absurd, but then we were like, there's just too much value we can provide to people. So guys, if you want to get an analysis of your text game, the guy is not just going to give you funny lines like I've been demonstrating. It goes so much deeper than this. In fact, all our competitors, Gemini, ChatGPT, Claude, Riz AI, they wish it was just an AI text line generator. It's an AI text coach. You'll get an analysis of where you're going wrong, understand what's actually happening in the chat, and then you'll always get lines to move it forward and maintain your dignity in the chat. That's what it's all about, guys. All right, any questions, drop a comment and I'll get back to you. Otherwise, I will see you tomorrow on this channel. 5 videos a week, guys, not fooling around. Talk to you in the next one. Peace out. Bye.